Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and today I wanted to talk about something that I saw in the media today, recently. I saw that Bill O'Reilly went pretty hard against Beyonce, basically saying that Beyonce is that she produces exploitative garbage. I believe that's the term he used, and and so obviously, O'Reilly doing what he normally does, he kind of spends his time just sort of bashing away at Beyonce and saying that she's a horrible role model and stuff like that. And I found that really interesting. Somebody called me about it, and they said that actually this person agreed with O'Reilly, and she said, "Well, I don't understand why people want to call him racist because Beyonce, what she did wasn't appropriate, and he also called out Miley Cyrus and all that good stuff." Now, here's what I think on this. Uh, you know, Number one, Bill O'Reilly is not just a hypocrite, but he's also a bigot, and I don't think that you get his racism just from one incident. You get it from the fact that he spent well over a decade kind of spewing things that are very hateful toward people of color, that sort of lack a broader understanding of what people of color go through. He judges without trying to understand the black experience. I think that O'Reilly is an absolute jerk, and that's why 5 years ago I agreed. I said I'm never going to go on Fox News again. Up until that point, I was going on Fox News a lot. I didn't understand the political subtleties of what we do in public commentary, but I think that they took a turn to the right big time when President Obama was elected, because they sort of found that they could fuel and profit from all the white hatred that exists toward black people, and you saw it kind of sprout up during the Obama presidency, and that's when I sort of looked to the side and said, what are these guys doing? I can't be a part of this. So I've had my run-ins with O'Reilly, and since that time I haven't gone on Fox News anymore. I've gone on Fox Business maybe once or twice to talk about NCAA athletes because I care about the issue. But Fox News, I've always turned down every appearance request that they've made. And in fact, I was very disappointed that President Obama acknowledged Bill O'Reilly by doing an interview with him during the Super Bowl. It bothered me because most people in private conversation will agree without question that Bill O'Reilly is not a legitimate journalist, that he's not an ethical person, he's not a good person, he's not an honest person. But what happens is people kind of fold to the fact that his audience is so big. Now understand, Bill O'Reilly couldn't have an audience in any country other than one as racist as our own. He probably wouldn't work so well in a lot of European countries, certainly wouldn't work very well in African countries, in Asian countries. There's a special audience here in the United States where you have an interesting combination of ignorance and arrogance that kind of drives this really festering undiagnosed racial hatred that exists in this country. So that's where his audience comes from. He feeds off of that ignorance, and the fact that his audience is big is what allows a lot of black commentators and politicians to really fold to that. They say, well, O'Reilly's a jerk, but I'm going to go on his show because he has a big audience. Well, you don't really have to. You don't have to feed into that. You don't have to acknowledge him just because his audience is big. Understand this. He's not acknowledging you. He doesn't give a damn about you. He's not trying to clamor to come on your show or to somehow be in your presence. You're clamoring to be in his presence, and so to some extent, you're feeding into white supremacy. You're giving into that. You're accepting the idea that Bill O'Reilly is legitimate because he has a big audience. That's the only thing that gives him legitimacy. It's not his arguments. It's not his character. None of that. You're folding to the money. Folding to the money and the power, which is something I don't agree with. I'm not going to say it's pathetic or anything like, because I have friends that go on Fox and I respect them, but I don't agree with them, not one bit. So the fact is, O'Reilly is a racist. O'Reilly feeds into racism. O'Reilly is part of a very racist tradition. He comes from the tradition of people that have oppressed and killed and beaten black people for the last 400 years, and I don't think that we should fold to that. Now, let's go back to the Beyonce thing. I don't think that, here's the funny thing. I think Bill O'Reilly's a complete bigot, but I don't disagree with what he's saying about Beyonce not being the best role model. I actually agree with that point. I've said that myself. When President Obama said that Beyonce was a great role model for his daughters, Sasha and Malia, I was a little bit concerned, not disappointed, but concerned because I thought, I don't know too many fathers who really want their daughters to go on stage and do what Beyonce does. I mean, Beyonce pops it for a living. Let's be real. Beyonce gets real naked, and she really tries to kind of keep up with Rihanna and this kind of hood, this ignorant hood culture that's kind of taken over the black community over the last 15, 20 years. I mean, she does a lot of things that really, are borderline ridiculous sometimes. She's a great performer. I mean, don't get me wrong. And she's obviously very good at what she does because she's iconic for her generation. But sometimes you'll see her really digging deep to try to appeal to this ignorance. And I think she's better than that. I saw her, there was one video where she was dressed like in a scantily clad outfit, and she was riding like not a tricycle, but like one of those bikes that they ride through the hood, and it had like a sucker in her mouth or something. And to me, it's like, okay, it's cute, but it's very hood, and I don't think we always have to be hood. I remember when she did that song Soldier, where she's basically saying, I want a man who's a soldier, like a gangbanger, a thug, etc. And I found that to be very disrespectful to the black community because we don't want our men growing up to want to be thugs. I mean, no disrespect to guys that have to struggle in the street, but I think that we want to also show respect to those black men who are educated, who are working hard, who are trying to become productive members of society in every way, who want to have kids and take care of them, who want to get married to women and have families, structured families. And unfortunately, the thug culture doesn't feed into that. You don't hear gangster rappers rapping about trying to like get married and have a family and all that. They rap about how many women that they mess with, how big the gun is, how much money they got, just how much liquor they drunk, how many mollies they pop, all this stuff, right? And again, it's not degrading what brothers go through in the street. I respect that. I mean, those are men in my own family, but at the same time, I don't think most of those men want to be, in the street all the time. I don't think we should glorify street behavior. We should not glorify things that are going to get us sent to prison. We should not glorify things that are going to get us killed. And so when women as beautiful as Beyonce are saying, no, I want the man who's like that. I want that dangerous thug, killer, gangster dude or whatever, that bothers me because, number one, you're incentivizing men to behave in a way that they may not normally behave. A good guy, and I've seen this happen a lot, and you probably have too, a good guy might say, well, shit, if I want to get a Beyonce, I need to be a thug, man. Forget going to college. Forget trying to, be a good man. I need to be a thug. I need to be a womanizer. I need to be all of that, and then I'll get the pretty girl. So ultimately, I think that's incredibly problematic. And so, so at the end of the day, I just think, and here's the other funny thing too. That's not funny, but it's interesting. I've heard people make this point. You know me, I just believe in being honest. And it's funny to me that you'll have some women that will say, oh, I want the dangerous guy, I want the killer, I want the thug. But then when he comes in, he beats you up. Or as I heard someone say, if he engages in thug-like behavior and terrorizes you when the relationship comes to an end, we're supposed to feel sorry for you because you're a victim of domestic violence. When the fact is that if you date a thug, you're going to get a thug. I mean, why would you date a thug and expect a gentleman? Thugs are not raised to be gentlemen. Thugs are raised to be thugs. So, long story short, and I went on a little bit of a tangent there, I apologize, but my point is that it's not to say Beyonce is a bad person or that she's just an embarrassment. I don't believe any of that. I think she's incredibly talented. But when you talk about picking role models for little girls like Sasha and Malia, I think that Michelle Obama is a better role model. It's not that Beyonce's a bad role model. It's just, women like a Michelle Obama, they're better role models to me. I don't think that the president would be happy to see his daughter up there, like, popping her vagina like it's like a piece of candy. Like, I just don't think that that's what any father really wants for their daughters. But here's the other problem. In the black community, there are not really a plethora of role models to choose from. You just don't have that many black females that are prominent and successful that these women can look to as role models, other than entertainers and Michelle Obama. And I mean, can you think of anybody else? I'm sure there are people that come to mind, but there really aren't that many. Like when I try to think about women that are succeeding in corporate America, I can't think of anybody. I can think of maybe a few women who, like, say a Dr. Jennifer Cottle, who is a beauty queen. She was Miss Iowa, so she fits in that whole, like, I want to be a beautiful woman thing, but then at the same time, she is a physician. She's a hardworking woman. She's very successful. So, that's what I think about when I think about role models. When I think about Beyonce, honestly, I see a black version of Marilyn Monroe to some extent. That's what she is. Iconic, like Marilyn was. She's not the most educated person in the world. I mean, she's been educated through entertainment, but not formally educated. And you see that sometimes when she'll write, like she wrote a letter to Michelle Obama, and she had a lot of really crazy grammar in the letter. And, so ultimately, I'm just saying that, O'Reilly's point was not totally off base. But the fact of the matter, just keeping it real, O'Reilly's a racist, and not only is he a racist, he's a freaking hypocrite. Anybody who knows about his past, they know about that lawsuit that woman filed, where she said that Bill O'Reilly was doing all kinds of nasty, freaky stuff with a woman that was not his wife, and that he had a history of harassing other women in the workplace. And so Bill O'Reilly is far, far, far more disrespectful to himself, to the opposite sex, than Beyonce ever could be. And again, to Beyonce's credit, she's grinding, but she's grinding with her husband. I watched her performance. I didn't think it was like over the top racy, but at the same time, I'm just not really into Beyonce like that anyway. I don't identify with the people that worship her. I don't identify with the people that hate her. I just see her as a successful performer, and I just see it like it is. I call it like it is. For example, when I think about Beyonce, here's some very quick facts that come to mind. Number one, Beyonce's successful mainly because of her father, Matthew Knowles. He might be an asshole, he might be a complete jerk, he might be a horrible father, but that man put that girl on the map. He's the one that had her training when she was 10 years old. Most 10-year-olds are not doing dance routines, to that kind of perfection and really gearing themselves for a professional career. Matthew guided a lot of that. He understood the music industry. He got her moving. He built her platform. And the thing about the black community is that you have a lot of people who have a lot of talent, and they know how to get on the stage, but they don't know how to build the stage. We got so many singers, dancers, actors, rappers, athletes, and everything in between, but we don't know how to create those opportunities. We can take advantage of opportunities, but we don't know how to build them. Matthew, as a businessman, knew how to create opportunities and take advantage of them. And that's why Beyonce is successful, not just because she's a great singer and a great performer. That comes into play. I mean, the thing is, there are lots of women who are great singers and great performers. I saw a woman who sent me her demo recently, and I said, holy crap, she's as good as Beyonce. I mean, this woman, everything was perfect in terms of how she performed and what she delivered to me. But the fact is, she didn't have a management team behind her. She didn't have a business model behind her, and that's why Beyonce makes $80 million and she makes maybe 8,000. So the other facts about Beyonce, I think she's very smart, just because going around the world and doing business deals at the highest levels does educate you, but she's not formally educated. So when Beyonce gets on TV and says, I'm a feminist, I don't even think Beyonce really knows what a feminist really is. So she says she's a feminist, and then she makes a song called Bow Down Bitches, and which doesn't exactly come off as a song that's all that empowering to women. And so you see this contradiction here, but the contradiction really to me is driven by the fact that as an entertainer, she's used to catering to an audience. So she's trying to be everything to everybody. It's like, okay, well, women want me to be a feminist. Okay, I'm a feminist. Yeah, I'm a feminist. Yeah, I'll be a feminist. So I'll make a song, Girls Run the World. Why? Because I know feminists are going to listen to the song. It's going to become an anthem for women, and I'm going to make money. Matthew teaches her that, right? Maybe it's not Matthew, but somebody in her camp says, look, if you want people to love you and love your music, make songs that they identify with. When Jay-Z and Alicia Keys made the song New York, they knew New Yorkers would be singing along with this song. When Fantasia made the song Baby's Mama, Babyma, I literally remember being in a car full of babies' mamas and hearing all of them singing along with Fantasia. So ultimately, Beyonce, I think, is more concerned with being, a great performer, more concerned with her audience liking her, and it really comes down to giving people what they want. And that's really, kind of the foundation of business. I think being a feminist requires a little more moral conviction. It requires you to be able to and be willing to say and do things that are not popular, which entertainers just aren't that good at. They're not good at making people mad. They don't want to do that because that gets in the way of them doing what is most important to them, which is making money. Another observation, Jay-Z and Beyonce, speaking of money, they're obsessed with money. So whatever leads to a bigger bank account, that's what they're going to do. So being a feminist at the moment works for them financially, then that's what they're going to be at that moment. I don't think Beyonce is a legitimate feminist. Another observation about Beyonce, I think that she feels competitive with Rihanna. I think that now she's the old married mother on the block. Beyonce's the supposedly young, hot woman. I don't think she's that hot. I don't like skinny women like that anyway, just as a personal note. And I don't think most black women are built that way. I think black women are gorgeous, but Rihanna's not. I've seen far prettier women on my street than Rihanna. But at the same time, Rihanna's the hot young woman. and I think Beyonce's trying to compete with that. What are some other observations? And I know I started off talking about Bill O'Reilly, but I'm thinking about Beyonce now. I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts on that. So Beyonce's successful. God bless her. But when I look at my girls and I talk to them about adequate role models, I'm pointing at the Michelle Obamas. Michelle has she's garnered respect. She's independent. She is incredibly intelligent. She has a great family. She's just a great all-around woman. She has a sense of humor. I love seeing Michelle when she goes on television. I think it's remarkable because she shows natural talent. So I would say that if we're looking for role models, let's look more toward the Michelles than toward the Beyoncés. But then again, that's my 2 cents. But in terms of Bill O'Reilly, as far as he goes, the man is a racist. I'll say it to the end of my time. And I think that we have to acknowledge him as such. And those of you who watch Fox News and watch Bill O'Reilly, you got to ask yourself why. Why do you do that? I don't watch him. I've not. Don't. The last time I watched the O'Reilly Factor was when I was actually on it. I wasn't on it personally, but they were talking about me for a whole hour, trying to say I was some evil, horrible black man. That's the last time I can recall watching a full episode of the O'Reilly Factor. And so don't acknowledge something just because they have power. Acknowledge it because they're doing something good for the world. And that's just my 2 cents. You don't always have to be on the winning side in order to be on the winning side, if that makes sense. I think aiming for righteousness is a good value to embrace. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. So until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.